What is up, gang? Justin here, aka No Good Comics, and welcome back to the channel. Yes, we are back with Comic Collector Origins. This is season 2, episode 13 already. The time is flying. The time is flying. I mean, we're already halfway through April, which is really crazy. If you guys are not familiar with the show, Comic Collector Origins is all about the collectors and the folks who I meet through this amazing hobby, who I bring on to the show, and I interview them about how they got started in the hobby itself. What got them started with comic books? How did they start to read them? How did they start to collect them? And everything in between. I know we always talk about, origins of superheroes and villains and things like that. So I thought I would flip it and get to know folks. And as you know, if you've been following me, you know it's been an awesome journey. And I've met so many incredible people. I've introduced so many incredible people to other people that I've been connected to and support this channel. And it just kind of goes around and around. And it really is an amazing community out there for anybody who might be newer to the comic book hobby and just diving in for the first time and maybe not aware that there's a community. There is certainly a community out there, whether you are on YouTube or you're connected to people on Instagram or Facebook or any other social platform. There's a group of people out there that are doing some amazing things and sharing books and the love for comics in the same way that I'm sure you do. So definitely, seek out those in the community and again, try to bring them here on the show and introduce people and learn more about them along the way. And it's been a lot of fun. So again, appreciate everybody who's supported the channel. And I have a lot more, episodes coming along here. I think we're going to at least do another 3 or 4 before the summer. And I might take a little summer break and then kick off season 3 in the fall. I think is kind of going to be the plan. So, but certainly a good amount more episodes here to come. So appreciate everybody who's whether you're here right now watching or if you are in the replay, appreciate you as well. I want to just jump right into this. I'm really excited to have the guest that I have on today. He's someone who I've kind of been following through Instagram for a little while now, maybe a few months, maybe right before the new year, kind of connected with, through other people and really got a chance to meet him virtually through a book club recently, thanks to Kate from Kate's Comics, who was actually a guest on the show not too long ago. And him, amongst other people, got to meet a few really cool individuals as well. But I'm talking about my good friend Dan here from TreeCityComics. Dan,
what's up, man? Again, Justin, thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely, man. I'm so excited to talk to you, man. It's been nice getting to know you. Like I said, just kind of, connected through. I know I feel like the circles are all kind of, close together. We all kind of know others and so on and so forth. But it was cool to, hang with you as we did our book club, talking about Batman Hush. And I was like, I got to get Dan on the show, man. So I appreciate you joining on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited. I really am.
Absolutely. And for those who are, if you're not following Dan, make sure you do so. I put his information in the description below. So make sure you reach out to Dan over on Instagram. I know you do a lot of live streaming and things like that with just a lot of community members in general. It's been fun to see what you've been doing. So I think before we say hi to the chat, I want to remind everybody, smash that like button as well if you haven't already. And like I said, make sure you were following Dan. Dan, let's say a quick hello to the chat, and then I want to jump right into some Q&A with you here. See some people hanging. Let me scroll back up here. We got my man Ruben Guzman hanging out in the chat. What is going on, White Tiger? Cool, calm, collected as always. Cowabunga. Let's see. We got my man Matt in Clemson hanging out tonight as well. What is going on, Matt? Always a pleasure to see you, sir. We also got Christopher Parker in the house. What is going on, Chris? Always nice to see you as well, hanging out in the chat. Let's see. We got Coach. What's up, Coach? The comic collector Coach hanging out with us as well. Happy Wednesday. Yeah, new comic book day. Hope you guys were able to get out to your local comic shops or however you get your books and at least get them. I haven't been able to read them or read bag and board them yet. I got a pile here next to me, but later tonight I'll be doing some of that. So yeah, hope you're doing well, Coach. Let's see, everybody saying hi to each other. Good. Appreciate everybody. Again, if you're not reaching out, if you're not following Dan, make sure you do so. His links are in the description. But Dan, let's get right into it, man. I'm curious. I feel like you cover a lot of aspects of the hobby in general. Between the beautiful set of slabs that you have behind you, the consistent new comic book breakdowns and reviews that you're posting along the way. So you got the original stuff, the new stuff, all that in between, and of course you got pops and figures and everything else. So where did it all start for you? What was as far as like the fandom goes? What was your environment like? Did you have friends or family members around you that were also into comics or other things like that? And just what did that look like as a whole?
Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's really exciting, but it's kind of interesting, maybe. My dad was an immigrant. He came here from Lebanon when he was young. Didn't speak the language. The legend, allegedly, from my mom is that one of the ways he learned to speak English so well is he used to pick up comic books and he'd read comic books, right? So I don't know if by osmosis or what, that I just, as I was young, really fell in love with comic books. Although I think the other reason was maybe, when we were coming up, my mom and dad worked hard, but it was tough. Like we didn't have a lot, they were working hard, but couldn't make ends meet sometimes. And you could always buy a comic book and you could read a book and you could escape and imagine, different situations. And it just sort of opened up a world of adventure. So I think between those two things, it was always going to happen naturally where I was going to, really enjoy comics. And I think you take that from my childhood, I'm an 80s kid. So you take that and then you mix that in with a couple of really good buddies that I've had through my childhood. And we've sort of fostered this ongoing love of all things comic. And I mean, Marvel, DC, I mean, the range is so wide. Studio Ghibli, I mean, you name it, it's all over the place. We just love everything. If there's a good story and good art, and we want to consume it and just enjoy it. So I think it started from that point on. My dad's been passed away now for years, but so I can't confirm if the legend of him learning English from the comic books is true or not, but I'll go with it. I think it's a good story, so I'm going to stay with it.
Totally a good story. I had a old friend who said never let the truth get in the way of a good story. No, but that is really cool. And to see, I mean, it's kind of always kind of been there for you then in that regard as far as comics go. You mentioned your friends that were into it and stuff like that. At this point, were you? Has it just kind of always been an ongoing thing? Where you ever take breaks or kind of step away from the hobbies or anything like that?
Yeah, so when I was I really had started life, I think, earlier than a lot of people. So, I used to collect when I was young, and I had just a meager collection, nothing crazy. Every book I had, I was reading them. I wasn't just getting them to collect and put away. I was reading them. So they were bagged and boarded, but I would read them all. And about the time I got married, I was young. I would say about 19. There were these boxes just sitting in my house, not really doing anything. And that's when I was entering the practical phase of my life. Like, we got to buckle down and we got to get somewhere. So I took my books and I literally went to my local LCS, my LCS at the time in the town I was living in, and I said, "Hey, do you want to buy these?" And they gave you the line. Any LCS is going to do. They're going to be like, "Oh, there's not a lot of value here." I took a couple books that were just like a Fantastic Four. I think the first Frightful Four book, or some other handful of books, and just said keep them. I didn't even take any money. I just kept a couple and gave them to the LCS, and that was it. And I took a break for a long time until, I want to say, like with a lot of people, COVID came back, or COVID started, and then that brought my love back of the comics. So I started really ramping up, and by then, knock on wood, situation was a little different. My kids were grown, we were a little bit more established, so I had a little bit more discretionary income to dump into the hobby, as you can clearly see. So it sort of picked back up around that time, I think, with a lot of people. But nostalgia is a funny thing, right? Whether it's COVID or whether it's just longing for your youth, you go back, you're like, okay, I need to catch up on all these things and read all these things and gather all these things again, and then here we are.
Yeah, wow, that's amazing. And you're right. I think I've been collecting since it was like 2019, maybe the end of 2018, when I started to like dip my toe into comics, and I've seen the progression for I feel like, yeah, as you mentioned, when COVID hit, I mean, there were a ton of people that had kind of come back, whether it was right before or right at that moment, or even that year that kind of followed. And a lot of people who I've talked to just as guests here on the show, with somewhat of a similar angle as far as maybe you taking a break from it or kind of stepped away from the hobby for a little, but obviously being stuck inside for a very long time can easily find your way back to it in that regard. So yeah, it's wild. I think it's really cool. Did you, I guess, as you were going back for a second, as you were first getting some of these books and just diving into whatever you could get your hands on, could you recall, I guess, some of the specific issues or characters that you were like, man, I'm looking forward to this next one, or certain ones you just liked more than others at that time?
Well, it was interesting. So when I started getting back into it, I'm going to plug a couple of my comic shops in the area because
Please do.
they really pulled me in. So one person in particular, John Dudas, he owns Carol and John's. It's been like almost 40 years. He's been up in Lakewood, Ohio. Runs an awesome shop. I mean, he's amazing. And he was doing this thing with COVID where he was hosting on Facebook a show, and he maybe have like 60, 70 books. Nothing. He doesn't do slabs. He's all raw books. But he has a very deep history with comics, knows a lot of the characters and the storylines, and he would almost like tell you details of the book, like storytelling with each book, and it was so engaging. He'd do it once a week. It was sort of in the time when COVID, everybody was really kind of scared what was happening. We didn't know. It was a neat diversion, and it brought me into all these books. So that was one thing. I think I was just sort of gathering. When I was growing up, I was reading Daredevil. I was reading Wonder Woman. I have a big affinity for Wonder Woman. I think the George Perez run of Wonder Woman came out about the time, like that sweet spot of my age when I was like young and reading. So I always loved that storyline and what George Perez did with Wonder Woman. So he had books like that. And then it was also a really good opportunity for me to read stories I never read. So interesting, when I was collecting back in the 80s and 90s, around the time, like I think when Image really kind of broke out.
Yep.
Image wasn't good for stories. They were amazing for art, like Spawn, Youngblood, Cyberforce, like Savage Dragon. It was crazy. But the stories kind of really went to Valiant. Like Valiant had the better writing, even though the art wasn't so great. So you had stories like Magnus Robot Hunter or Archer and Armstrong or Harbinger, and they were really cool stories. And I was like, oh, neat. When COVID happened, though, I started discovering Image changed, and I was catching up on the stories that I had never heard about, but I suddenly loved, like East of West, Why the Last Man. Why the Last Man wrecked me. For weeks after I read Why the Last Man, I think I was having like a doubt of my life. I'm like, oh my gosh,
really?
Oh, it was. I won't ruin it. I don't want to spoil it.
I've never read. Yeah, I've never read it. I own, one of the main books. I haven't read it yet. But
oh, Justin, you got to read it. It's amazing. It's an amazing read. But like that and like Saga and Ascender and I was able to. I wasn't buying the big books in COVID times per se because the money was insane. People were asking insane money for books.
Yeah.
But I was able to get trades and things and able to read the storylines that I hadn't caught up on, and it just reignited the love. I was like, oh my gosh, these stories, where were these? Where was I?
Right. Wow, that's amazing. You rattled off some really great stories as well, or as far as series go. That and that's actually something that stood out to me about you specifically as we were doing our book club with Kate and the rest of the crew for Batman Hush. I had mentioned Dustin Nguyen and Descender, Ascended. We were referencing some of the dream sequences or the flashback sequences in Hush, and you were like right on it with like kind of recognizing some of the artwork and things like that, and so I love that because Descender is one of my favorite. It's actually probably my favorite indie series like of all time.
So
at least
good.
from what I've read. Yeah, it's I met Jeff Lemire for the first time in New York last year. That was like, amazing to me to meet him, and he was so humble. And I had him sign my my Descender one that I brought with me to get signed. It's literally actually I should show. This is literally the background of my phone.
It's amazing. I don't know. I'll tell you, I was always raised like to do a prep. Not knocking anybody's career choices, by the way. This is don't email me. I mean, whatever you do, good for you. Make it happen. But I was always raised like to keep your head down. Like my family, keep your head down. Don't follow your passions. Just do a practical job. I mean, they weren't like discouraging. They're just like, we want to make sure you're secure. I came from a family that didn't really have means, so they want to make sure that what I did was a guaranteed paycheck. So, as you know, with creators, it's not. It's a grind. If you're a creator, you're grinding it out and you're loving it. I mean, you do it because you truly love it. You're not necessarily doing it for the paycheck. If you break out, that's just a great thing. But when I meet these creators, you know, you talk about Jeff Lemire, how he's humble. You meet these people who have brought joy to the globe. I mean, with their titles, their stories, their art, and they want to chat with you and they want to talk to you, and they're not like, you know, again, not like the traditional celebrity, movie star celebrity that, you know, they push you away. They don't necessarily want to engage with you. It's more like a meat market. Oh, you bought your photo op? Photo move, photo move.
All right.
I go to Comic Cons, they want to chat with you and they want to, how do you like my book? What do you like about the story? They want to hear it. So I was amazed to meet some of these people. And, you know, to your point, I think that also makes me love this genre of entertainment is, yeah, the art is amazing. The stories are amazing. The creators, you just have mad respect for them. Even, you know, as I'm posting, when I read books and I try to write about the things that I'm reading, they'll respond to me or they'll repost my post, and it just makes you feel so good. Like they give you the time and they're busy. I mean, I just love that. I really do respect them. So yeah,
that's a great point, and that definitely wins me over even more when I see a creator, you know, leave a comment of something I had shared, or just a thank you, or even just liking one of my posts where I had, you know, complimented them or talked about them, you know, and sometimes you get, you know, things like share, or I know some that are just very active. They'll even DM, you know, go back and forth with sign. I always think of David Nakayama, the artist currently doing a ton of amazing cover art. He to me is just one of the best at doing that. Really. Putting the fans first and actually wanting to engage. And that to me, I'm a fan for life. Like, I don't care what artwork
and the
you do after
nicest
this,
guy,
you know,
the nicest guy. I messaged Nakayama one day and I said, he said to me, he sent me a message or something. He goes on a DM. He said, hey, thanks for writing about this. I don't remember exactly what he said.
Yeah.
I go, man, I appreciate that. Thank you for reposting this, you know? And he goes, I go, I know you're busy. He goes, no, man, you took the time to post that. I mean, it was just such gratitude. And, you know, I was almost flabbergasted. I'm like, wow. And, you know, maybe I shouldn't put these people on a pedestal. They put their pants on one leg at a time like we do, but I really do appreciate the creativity and the vision. I don't have that level of creativity in my whole body that they have in their pinky nail. You know what I mean? Like, it's insane.
Right. Yep, absolutely. I don't know if you know this. My dad is an artist. He used to do a lot for DC and Marvel back in the 80s and the 90s, but and he still does artwork now. He had done like Flash for like Volume 2 of the 90s stuff. His name's Greg LaRocque.
This doesn't track. How did you just get into comic books? You said you dipped your toe in the pool.
I know.
What was your dad like? Oh, my boy, what's going on?
Yes, he was very, because I always thought of comics as like the family business. I didn't want anything to do with it as a kid, you know. Like, he was like, you want to read this book I just did? And I thought I was being punished for having to read. I hated reading when I was a little kid. So I'm like, no, I want to go outside and play baseball. Can we throw the ball around or something, you know? So I had to find it, you know, on my own terms, the love, you know, for comics. But I bring him up just because I know for him, he still does Comic Cons to this day, and you know, I think at this point, if he wanted to just fully retire and shut down, he certainly could. But it's, as you talk about, the fandom and not the fandom, but the connection with the fans, and returning to those who appreciate his art and what he puts into his work, and wanting to give that back, and always connecting with those fans. Like, he loves that to this day. And this all goes back to the creativity side of things, and just the, like you mentioned, like the route he went, you know, as far as his job career and everything else goes. Like, it all kind of comes with that territory. So
I give it to him. It's a grind, and you love it, and you do what you love. And they, you know, that old saying, if you do what you love, you never really work a day, you know, day in your life. But it's a grind. I respect it. You know, it takes a while to break out, if you ever get the shot to break out. And I just have mad respect for these creators, from the toes to the nose. I appreciate everything that they do. It's a hard job. It's a hard lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, agreed. I want to say a quick hello in the chat. A couple comments here. My buddy Kenneth Bird hanging out in the chat. What is going on, Kenneth? Good to see you, my friend. Christopher was commenting on your spinner rack there. He says, I'd love to find an old spinner rack. Looks great. Yeah, for sure. That's definitely on my list to have at some point for for the
You
man
know what? I
cave that I
bought this.
have.
I wouldn't look for an old one. I bought this one on displays to go, and I think it was under a couple $100. If you find these
Oh,
guys on Facebook that they're selling these vintage spinners, they want like $400 or $500. It's like this thing isn't like
yeah.
plutonium. You know, what I mean, like you can get these on display to go. That's a magazine size rack that holds slabs. Works quite well, and also a plug to the wham stand because I bought a mini spinner, their wham stand, and it is. And I posted it on my
Oh, I
Instagram.
saw it. I saw it. Yeah,
I love
it's got your logo and everything. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's really cool.
it's like double decker. It's the sweetest thing, and it'll go right on your desk. I tell you, it's the best deal too. Yeah.
Oh man, I'm gonna you're gonna have to send me the link later. I might have to
Yeah.
get my own of those. That did look really cool. Let's see. Coach said, Magnus Robot Fighter is super underrated.
100%.
I've never read, but yeah, I've seen Robot Fighter around for sure. You know, a lot of those. This is all like '90s, right? A lot of this stuff here. Yeah, I've never read it, but yeah, it's really cool. It's good to know. Maybe at some point I can get around to it. My buddy Gore. He always gives me a hard time about Saga. He's a big fan of a lot of comics, a very knowledgeable guy, really great guy. But he does not. Saga's the one thing that's just not for him, and that's okay.
He'll never understand the pain of Sweet Boy. When that happened with Sweet Boy, I was wrecked. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, Gore likes to tease me on my channel here. Good to see you, Gore. Let's see. Matt was talking about Livio Remendelli and Ryan Miller are two great artists who reply to you and are great to have conversations with. I found that's great to know too. Yeah, I remember Matt you talking about Ryan Miller. He also said Papa LaRoque even pops into the chat from time to time. Yes, he does. Yeah, he does like to try to catch. This is a little bit past maybe his bedtime at this point, but typically during earlier streams, he's usually hanging out with us from time to time. He was, I wanted to bring up Comic Cons with you here, Dan, in a sec, but he was at the latest Terrificon, the one that had just passed last year. I do want to bring up. I know we were talking a little bit backstage about it already, but tell me a little bit about your. Even just early on, your experiences with Comic Cons, or do you recall your first Comic Con and what that was like,
yeah,
where it was?
Yeah, like I remember going to Comic Cons and they were like smaller. They weren't these big. You know, I've never been to San Diego Comic Con. That's a bucket list item, but truly, when I see how the churn there, and I don't know if I want to go. Right, I think for me, I'd rather go to New York Comic Con. Right, it's closer, and I'd rather do that. But when I was younger, we'd have the local shows. You could go right up to the creators. They didn't charge you for signature. I'd get like, you know, Vigilante Rick Magyar would sign it or somebody like that and they would just, you walk up and, you know, get a book signed and you'd be like, okay, thanks, mister. And you'd move on. And yeah, I mean, that was really the extent of it. It was always local cons for me. It wasn't really, because again, you know, like I told you already, when I was growing up, we didn't have a lot. So even to go to a local con was something. It was really neat to do. And I usually did that with my buddies. But then as I got older, then I started going to actual real, like, you know, fan expos and terrific cons. And you're like really opening your eyes to, holy crap, these are some productions here, you know?
Oh, big time. Yeah. Especially and then as you see, like some of these big names, you know, creators, current creators, or even retired creators, like you just get, you know, your choice of a lot of them. And it's just like, it's almost overwhelming, depending who's there. But yeah. Do you remember, I guess, or where was the first one that you said that you went to, or do you remember?
They were local shows. They were like, you know, we have like little shrines and not shrines, like Tadmore does a shrine, like Tadmore, like, you know, or like Shriners or different things like that. They have like local convention centers, and they would put on local shows. Usually it was for the local shops that come and sell their books and stuff, but they would sometimes have like either local artists or somebody in the region would come. I've done like, you know, ones in Akron too, where I've met like people like Bob McLeod and Ron Friends and stuff like that too. Lovely people, you know. Ron did a couple of cool Thor covers, and you know, McLeod. Nice. He did obviously the famous New Mutants 1 book, where, interestingly enough, Bob McLeod doesn't charge for signatures unless it's New Mutants 1. He must.
I remember you said that because we were talking about. I got to meet him the other day. Oh, I met him a couple times.
I think he's tired of signing that book.
Yeah, maybe. That's such an odd. I haven't heard anything like that before from anyone being that specific for about a book compared to anything else. But that is kind of funny. Yeah, he's a really nice guy. I just got a commission piece. I actually don't know where my book is at the
He's
moment.
good. I mean, he
he's a great
really is
guy.
good. I'll give it to him. Even now,
Yeah.
even his
Oh,
signature is artistic. Everything about it that he does is
yep.
amazing. So good.
Yeah, I hope he's back to Terrificon this upcoming. He usually goes every year, so I'm hoping to meet him. So when you went to Terrificon, was that this past year? Or was it 2 years ago that you had gone?
Man, I don't remember what I had for dinner yesterday.
Okay.
I want to say it wasn't. It's in August, right? They do it in August.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It would have been this past August.
Oh,
August.
okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, man.
Yeah.
So I missed you then, man. We were in the same room, probably digging right next to each other at one point.
I got to meet a couple of my. I went with my best friend in the world. He met me there. He lives in Pound Ridge, so he came down. We got to meet, and then a couple of people from Instagram. I connected with Cell Comics and Black Knight Comics, who's now is collecting is connecting. Dennis, just lovely guy, and I got to meet with them, and it was awesome. I'm telling you. I mean, just so many stars. I was checking in, and who's over my shoulder is Greg Capullo, and I'm looking at him, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, can I get a picture with you? He's like, yeah, man, like he was the coolest guy, but he looks like he's jacked. He's looks like a strong biker dude.
Yeah, I wouldn't mess with him. Yeah.
Oh, but he's the nicest guy. I mean, it's just I couldn't believe it. It was Terrificon was lit. I loved it.
That's awesome. I do hope you come back at some point. I try to go every year. Ever since the pandemic, and things opened up, I've been going ever since. And I always told myself, like, if there's ever just a time where I can only go to one Comic-Con, it's got to be that one. I think I talk about that show on this show almost every time it gets brought up, just because. Yeah, it's that good. You mentioned some of the other ones like the Fan Expos, things like that. How have those been? I haven't really been to Fan Expo.
So the Cleveland Fan Expo was good. I actually worked it one year, and it was kind of neat to go there and work it. And Tony Harris was there, and Tom Grummett, and Agnes Garbowska, and a lot of really great creators were there. It was really cool. And then I've got to meet other people there. Frank Cho's come through, Greg Land's come through. These people are just lovely. We had Simon DeMeo come in here. It's just amazing to get to meet these people, and even the older creators, right? Like that you get to run into that. I don't think people maybe know that, like the big names, but when you see the work that they do, like the Keith Williams and these guys, you're like, holy crap! Like these guys help kind of lay the foundation of where we're at today. It's just but yeah, I mean the Fan Expo was neat. It's a smaller convention. I think GalaxyCon in Columbus, I've gone to that. We talk about Terrificon. That's probably, really the extent of it. I unfortunately, with family and other things too, you have to kind of decide where you're going to put your time. But
sure.
I have bucket list items. I want to go to Baltimore. I want to do the Baltimore Con.
Yes, that's a good one too.
Yeah, I definitely do that. And as I told you, I want to do the New York Comic Con one of these days. Yeah. And then I know in May for sure I'm doing Motor City Con in Detroit. I'm going to be going to.
Oh, cool. Okay, I've heard of that one. Yeah, I've never been up to Detroit before, but that's that certainly is one I recognize as far as the names go. That's a good.
I don't know if it's actually in Detroit proper.
Oh, okay. It's
but
down a little,
close. Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. I want to ask you a little bit about, do you have any connections to, as we learn more about your origin and how you got into everything, do the shows or the movies or anything like that play a role in your fandom? Have you been following along throughout the years? And is there anything, from that format, whether it's TV shows or movies that helped get you further along into just your love of comic books?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, even as a kid, cartoons, I grew up in the sweet spot with He-Man and Ninja Turtles when that was insane to me. And, the Batman animated series, all that stuff, you kind of go through the progression. And even when I was young too, things like Voltron, Transor Z. I remember watching, Japanese animation thinking, it's amazing. Like it is unbelievable. Yeah. And so, yeah, that definitely played in. And when you're young, I don't know that you're really appreciating the work and the time and the talent that goes into it. You're just sort of like just in awe and consuming it. You know what I mean? Yeah. As you get older, and especially now, with the MCU and, the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy, and you're like, holy smoke, like these things are unreal now. So the MCU movies and the Batman movies. You know, I know people, my buddies, even they give me stuff all the time. They're like, Michael Keaton's the best. Okay, I can respect Michael Keaton, but to me, Christian Bale is the best Batman. To me, hands
Yeah.
down, the best Batman. And but I think it might have to do with the story too. The story was really well done.
True.
But yeah, it would be hard to say that the movies don't play and really kind of bolster the love for the comics, because you know the neat thing about it was, for some of these MCU movies that were coming out, I had some of those books. And so when the storylines were unfolding, like with the, you know, the Infinity Saga, we knew, even though, you know, Feige spins it a little bit, but we kind of knew what was happening. And it was neat to watch my kids, who they aren't into comic books. I have two daughters. They're not into comic books, but they go to the movies with me and they're like amazed at the production and the actors and the talent. And I'm kind of like admiring it, because I'm like, I know where the story's going and you're going to love this part, you know? And yeah, it'd be hard to say that the movies don't sort of invigorate and make you love the books even more. But I think with everything, even though I do love the movies, and whenever I meet creators, I'm always like, as you were creating these things, did you in your mind envision where the big screen takes your characters now? It's crazy, and they'll often be like, you know, it's really great. But one of the things that's really cool is, I still will say, the books are always better. The books are always better.
Yeah. I feel like that tends to be the case. Even, you know, I think of even just, you know, novels and things like that, you know, just the detail and obviously just how much further you can go with the you know, bringing the mind as far compared to a film. But yeah, no, it's incredible to hear. And I feel like, you know, I've, you know, as I mentioned before, got into comics, you know, 7 years ago or so. And I was watching the movies before that. Like, I was very much into the movies, and yet it didn't cross over to me to think like, you know, oh, these are all based on comics or anything like that. And that was one thing that's always kind of bugged me about what Marvel or DC or any of the companies. I feel like they lack reminding people, hey, these are comics. Like, go out and, you know, go to your local comic shop and check out what's currently out, you know, things like that. They never like push that or mention that, or even, I don't know. Yes, the very end, the credits, you know, in the deep text, if you wait and read it, you might be able to read some stuff. But I just always felt like it was a missed opportunity for their sake to, you know, what if you had one of the main, you know, actors come out before the film started and it's filmed, and he or she comes out with like a comic, be like, by the way, what you're about to watch is based on this comic, like, and then I don't know, and then it goes in the film or something like that, you know.
Well, yeah, you give props to people like Neil Adams, who like really pushed to get creator rights and get the recognition, because otherwise they wouldn't have. I mean, you know, Christopher Reeve, you know, when that movie came out, they gave, you know, Siegel and Schuster the mention in the credits, you know, that's, you know, their creation. And you know, I don't, if you don't like comics or that's not your thing, no problem, right? But if you love to be entertained, I will have yet to meet somebody who hasn't seen the Superman movie when it came out. I mean, obviously now things always don't, you know, translate well to today, but when I was watching Christopher Reeve, you know, and Lois Lane jumps out the window and he catches her and then catches a helicopter, you lose your mind. You're like, what is happening here? Like, this is unbelievable. Or like Star Wars, you know, and, you know, George Lucas, the first three, you know, I didn't follow all the movies that come out, but like the first three, it's a whole world that you're like just absorbed into. Or even like the Dolph Lundgren Punisher, you know, we're watching the Daredevil Born Again and you're seeing these characters coming into the picture now, but you watch the Punisher with Dolph Lundgren and it gives you an impression of how hardcore these guys were. And, you know, I don't know. I can't see how you can't watch the movies and then suddenly want to go and not want to go and pick up a book and see what this is really all about, you know?
Right. Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, totally. By the way, we have another in the chat here, my man Philly Phil. What's going on, Phil? Says
I love that guy.
Supreme duo tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate you, Phil. Yeah,
I hope I see Phil at Motor City Con. I hope to see him there.
Oh, there you go. I talk golf with Phil once in a while, and he gets out a little more than I do. I wish I could play a little more often, but good to see you, Phil. Thanks for hanging out here. We got 9 people hanging out in the chat still. We appreciate you. Again, as a reminder, if you guys are not following Dan over on Instagram, make sure you do so. I put his information in the description below. Dan, I have some rapid fire questions and some other random stuff I want to get into, but before we do, a couple other questions for you here. One being, what is the story behind Tree City Comics, the name?
It's not glamorous. Stowe, Ohio is like considered Tree City, right?
Oh, okay.
And
Yeah.
so I just thought Tree City. I'm really not creative. That's what I mean. Like Justin, you think I'm being humble? Zero creativity in this brain. Like, no, I'm telling you. So like, I'm like, oh, outside there's trees. I'm in a city, Tree City.
It's so funny. I really was thinking, I'm like, oh, maybe he like works in, some sort of construction where they do stuff with trees, or they build cities. I don't know.
We're gonna go with it. Keep that story.
I had built up this whole thing. That's great. So let me ask you this: when you made Tree City Comics, I guess what sparked you to make it, and did you have like a handle before, like, or I guess even like in finding the community? What was that like for you? Did you always know there was a community? Was this something that you stumbled upon? Was it Instagram first? Was it YouTube or Facebook first?
It was totally serendipitous. So I'm going to tell you. If you even follow me on Facebook, there's nothing to follow. I don't post on Facebook. I'm literally only on Facebook for the marketplace. I even tell my friends, I'm like, if you need me on Facebook, like text me, because I'm never going to see
You're
it.
Not going to read that.
I'll never see it. I don't. Right.
I'm the same way. Yeah.
I'm not on the socials. But what happened was, guys like Ali of Elite, guys like Frank of Atlas, guys like, these different people that began to build these communities up, especially in a time where we were really in a tough place, I would say. Like, again, I'm not trying to make us all victims, because we've came out of it. I think we're better for coming out of it, but a lot of challenges. People were facing a lot of struggles. Work was tough. Money was tough. I think we were looking for an escape, right? And they built these online communities. And I remember the first one I joined online, other than the LCS I told you about, where he was doing his own Facebook stuff. But I remember watching an Elite sale, and and props to the Comic Underground. I mean, again, you talk about Kate and Kyle and Nick, and they're doing their thing, and it's amazing what they're doing and building positivity in the community. But I remember watching an Elite sale, and at the time, rest his soul, Frank Valenza, Frank's Comics, was the first guy on Instagram I ever bought a comic book from.
Oh wow!
I think it was the issue of Amazing Spider-Man where it's like a Christmas issue where, Peter and MJ are getting kicked out of their apartment. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. And it's like, he's getting kicked out on the street, and it's a cute issue. It's not like a key or anything, but I still remember the book. And that really kind of, I'm watching these sales and I'm like, holy smoke, what is happening here? And then it really started taking off, and it became a thing where my family we would stream it to the TV, and they would all watch with me. And my daughter wouldn't even really didn't care about comic books, but every so often somebody would throw a Funko up there or a plushie. And Chris is right, 314.
Oh, cool. I'll have to look this up.
And they put a plushie up there or something, and she'd be like, oh, buy that. And I'd click and buy it. And that was dangerous, because you're just dumping money. You're like,
buying all this stuff.
Oh, money's gone. But you know what? What would happen is you'd send the money, you'd get the books, they'd come in the condition you wanted. It was like an adventure every time you open these boxes up. I remember it was just such an escape. Again, like, I talked to you earlier about, when you're young and don't have the means and you're looking for an escape and your imagination is running wild. Now you're older, you're facing a whole new set of challenges. Here's these people building up these communities. And I feel like at the time I was just like, well, I really want to be part of this. I had comic books. I knew them. I knew that whole genre. So how can I contribute and get plugged into this? And that's when Tree City kind of started. I mean, nothing really glamorous about it. And I think my early posts were just pictures of like my setup in, the basement. Like, I'm sitting in my basement now, where it's like, oh, look, here's my spinner rack. Here's my shelves. I mean, it was like nothing really basic. It was pretty basic stuff, but it just sort of fostered and spawned off of that.
Wow, that's awesome. I love to hear stories like this, because it really, and especially like you said, that time was so unique in so many ways. Obviously good, and I mean mostly bad, but like I just saw so many things that were kind of taken from that, and I think that a lot of us grew from that in a positive way. But like it really was, and especially from a comic perspective, knowing. I too, I remember like Friday nights, there was a couple of Instagram sellers that I would just go on and hang out with. And my wife and I would, sit here, we'd play board games, and I'd have like an earbud in and like, checking its claim sales as like
Right?
as part of the night, and it was like a Friday night, and that's just like what we did, or we'd have something else on or whatever, and that was just kind of a combination of things. So it's really interesting to hear, and you weren't alone. I love hearing
that
because
something you guys would do
Yeah.
together too. I love that hearing that, like, you and your wife doing board games and you're listening to the claims. I love that. It's just that's what it's about, right? I mean, the books. I always say the books are great. The books are the bonus. The real benefit is the community and the friends. I mean, that's what it's all about.
Big time. That's all I've ever been in. I mean, I know we were talking a little bit about how my setup at a Comic-Con is just having people pick out questions to ask to literally talk comics. The two things I love reading a book, and then I love talking to friends about that book. What did you think? What did you like? What did you not like? And then building that connection and that same love that we all have for certain characters, certain teams, certain publishers, certain artists, all that stuff. So it really, really is amazing. By the way, I realized ASM 314 is probably one of the first an early Spider-Man book in my collection because it's part of the Todd McFarlane run, and that I had collected Todd McFarlane's ASM run from 298 to 328, I think, all newsstand. That was like one of the first things I ever completed as like a completionist style. So I know exactly what you're talking about now that I'm doing the math with the numbers, because I'm like I haven't read much Amazing Spider-Man, but yeah, these are definitely books I've had, and great stuff, by the way. We got my man Damien Sleepy Reader 666 in the chat. What's going on, Damien? Good to see you, my friend. There it is. Chris saying part of the McFarlane run. Yeah. Phil says, Justin, what arc or arcs of Nightwing do you have high praise for? Dan has recommended the 2 story arcs of Wonder Woman to me, trying to get some more modern DC runs in that aren't the Absolute Universe. Phil, dude, I sorry, I just had a copy of it here, but Tom Taylor's Nightwing from starting at 78, issue 78, that from the volume that had just like I guess technically it's still going on, is my absolute. I mean, that's what got me into Nightwing. If anybody, Dan, have you ever read Nightwing from Tom Taylor's run from this?
I love Tom Taylor. I don't follow Nightwing so much, but I mean, anything Tom Taylor, you're gonna love it. I told Phil, I mean, I feel like if you follow my post too, I'm ad nauseum posting about Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
The Tom King run to me it's the best book out there. It's the best.
I need to catch up. I need to catch up on that. I bought the first couple issues, and I started to wait for trades, and then when I do that, sometimes I fall behind. It's tough, but I do hear great things. Phil, I laugh at this question because I've always made the joke that for a long time, I feel like I was that guy in an alleyway with a trench coat that was like showing Nightwing 78 to like people, and I would just buy the book for people. And I mean, I probably have extra copies, Phil. I could send you a trade of the first, story arc that he did. And Dan, for you too, I highly recommend you give this a shot. You already know Tom Taylor's work. This is the first.
Did Tom Taylor do the Superman, son of Kal-El? That was his, wasn't it?
Yes, he did. Yep, and that tied in. Those kind of tied back and forth to each other.
So, Phil, there you
Redondo.
go. That was 18 issues, I think, and it was an amazing story.
Yeah, that was really well done. And Nightwing is the first book I've ever cried to. I actually had tears to, dude. And that was something that I got my wife into, like just reading. So my wife and I will we haven't done it in a little while, but we'll sit down and we'll read a book out loud. Like we'll either take turns with pages or chapters or whatever, certain issues. And I told her that, this Nightwing run, I think it's really worth your time. Like she's not really into comics, but she is interested in good stories. So she's willing to give it a shot. So I tried to read that book out loud, and you'll know it's the first issue that Tom Taylor starts over with. For anyone who is a father or a son that has a father, which we all are, any combination of that, it'll hit you so hard. Or just a child to a parent. Yeah, I literally couldn't read this one part of this book, and my wife's like looking at me like, really, you're having a hard time reading? I'm like, all right, you read it. And then she tries to start reading it, and then she couldn't finish the page either. And I said, you see what I mean? Like it was so powerful.
My wife has a psych degree, and I feel like whenever I'm talking to her about storylines, and I'm like, man, this really got to me. Like she's like, all right, have a seat. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, no.
Right. Where did it all begin for you? Yeah. That's funny. So yeah, I love the question, Phil. Thanks, man. I'll reach out to you later. We want to talk more about that.
I would tell just to close on that question, Phil. If you haven't read Human Target, the Greg Smallwood Human
Yes, and Tom
Target.
King. Yeah.
And Tom
Yeah.
King, I would tell you read
Amazing.
that. I told you read
Yep.
Wonder Woman, Superman, Son of Kal-El, and clearly you're hearing Tom Taylor on the Nightwing run. I can't even say anything bad about it because it's Tom Taylor.
Yep. Yeah, big time. Yeah, I love that Human Target stuff too. I got to go back, and I bought all those covers, and now they're all scattered. I got to like reorganize. But Greg Smallwood's just amazing.
Amazing.
Speaking of amazing, we got amazing Murphinator. What's going on, Murph? Good to see you, my friend. Always a pleasure. Let's see, we got Sean Beck in the chat as well. Hello, Sean. Says Danny,
One of my
we
best
need
friends in the
suggestions.
world.
Oh, okay. On
Yeah.
Superman, Spider-Man trades for our friend's birthday. There you go. Oh yeah, Matt knows what's going on. Yeah,
Yeah.
Tom Taylor,
We have a friend who's got a birthday coming up and is a big Superman Spidey man, Spider-Man
nice.
fan. So give us suggestions on good gift ideas for this guy.
Oh, that's good. That's good. I've like been getting more and more into Superman, like big time, just collecting more of the books and older and the new, the current stuff, trying to read, stay up to date with a lot of that stuff. The Dan Morris stuff's been awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, really cool. Matt says, Justin's the reason I have a short box full of Nightwing here. Yeah, Matt was like very much into his G.I. Joe and Transformer books, and now he has a random box of Nightwing next to him as well. Gotta love that. All right. Before we get into some of the rapid fire questions, Dan, one question I always like to ask everybody, and feel free to go off on any angle of how you want to take this question, but I feel like there's still to this day so many new people coming into this hobby, so many people who are on the outside looking in, trying to figure out, where do I start reading, what do I start collecting, all these people have all these great collections, and how do I get like that, and all these other different things. I think that sometimes our this hobby can be a little overwhelming, and especially to newer. I mean, I'm even overwhelmed with it from time to time. But I'm always I always want to, help people get into it and approach it in a way that they're comfortable and that they're not, spending a fortune, but they're also able to enjoy things. If you had one piece of advice, what would you give to someone that is either, brand new or just getting back into the hobby and not sure of all the new things that are out there? What would you suggest to them as far as just advice in general?
I think the first thing I would probably say to everybody is read what you love. Read what you love, right? You don't worry about FOMO. Don't worry about trying to find books and chase books down that you think are going to have value or hold value. The only reason why people now have books that have held value is because they read what they love and they just held on to them. And now they're worth some money. So if you're going to chase the dollar, you'll never be happy. If you read what you love, you'll be happy. And the nice thing about it is, when we were growing up, right? At least I can't speak for you, Justin. I think I got a couple years on you here. You look way better than me. But when I was growing up, there wasn't a lot of the technology today, like the internet and AI. And you could go and like right now, I can go to AI and I can say, I like this genre of read. Give me some comic book ideas or storylines, and it will just pump out ideas for you, right? Mm-hmm. I don't like AI for art. I don't like AI to create comic book stories, but I like AI to get information. And there's a lot of good tools. So you can, I like it all. Like if you like a love story or you like, action or you like a saga or whatever, you can go out and say, I like these types of things. What are some good storylines and get you started? And also go to your LCS and get some ideas. And that's what happened with me when I was coming on and figuring out about Descender and East to West and, God Country and all these stories I had never read before, Oblivion Song. My LCS was giving me these recommendations and you figure out what you like. And I always have the rule of 3. I'll read 3 issues of something.
Ooh,
if I don't like it after the 3rd issue, I punt it. It's like that's it for me, right? Mm-hmm. But if by the 3rd issue, if I like it, I'll keep going with it. So read what you love. That's what I would say.
Man, I love the rule of 3 there. I really I actually treat music albums in a very similar way where I will I listen to an album 7 times before I judge whether or not I'm a fan of it or not. But yeah, for anything like that makes it's a great rule. And even more so as you're saying, like just find the stuff that really you gravitate towards. I think as you said, a lot of people can kind of get caught up in the FOMO. Seeing what everybody else is doing, what everybody else's collection looks like. And it's easy to kind of get lost in that stuff. So great advice. Love that advice. I'm going to keep that rule of 3 for books as I'm moving forward. I really like that. Gore here put in the chat, Spider-Man Blue by Loeb and Sale is good. I've never read that.
Jeff Loeb. Yeah. And Tim Sale. I mean, that's. you're gonna go. You won't go wrong.
Yep. Let's see. Is that is that a death pop behind the rack? Yeah, there you go.
One of my, you know what, and this is such a touchy subject for me because honestly, I love the Sandman. I love the whole lore, the dreaming, right?
Yeah, same.
Neil Gaiman is such a freaking douchebag. I mean, why do you do that to yourself? You could have gone down as a legend. You could have gone down as amazing, and he screwed it all up. But yeah, that is a death pop back there. I'm still, I have to separate the art from the artist. I have to, because the stories are just so good. I can't dismiss them. Although I did move them from the top shelf down to the bottom.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Dan. I mean, I had really gone through this journey of Sandman over the last couple of years, and you know, the stories are truly incredible, and it is very you know, just a shame that it's all kind of gone down the way it has. But yeah, that's I have the first omnibus of the Sandman you know, collection, and I've like been wanting to get the rest, and now I'm kind of like you know, putting it off to kind of the wayside. But yeah, the characters are incredible, so it is a cool death pop. Let's see. Philly says, when I first got back into comics in 2016, guy at my LCS recommended Preacher. Yeah, and here we are 9 years later, and Preacher is on my Mount Rushmore personal favorites. That's cool. I've not gotten into Preacher yet, but I've always heard nothing but amazing things for that run, for that series. And the show, it's a show, right, that they have now too, that's out.
That's the thing, right? I mean, you know, we talked about how, you know, like you said, at your shows, you have a table, you ask questions, you interact. That's the greatest thing about the LCS is like the barbershop, right?
Yes.
You go in, you chat with people, you chat with the shop owner, you get, like Phil, he learned about Preacher, right? Like, you learn the things, and you know what? Maybe something that they recommend you're not going to like. Okay, you learn it. Then you figure out other things that you love, and you're like, okay, now this is where I sit in this type of hobby. I love these kind of books, and you kind of gravitate that way.
It's so true. Yeah, there's so many things I've gotten into thanks to my LCS, and just the chatter, and you know, catching up. Oh, if you like this, you got to check out that. If you like his artwork, you got to check out her artwork. Like all these things, it's kind of on and on. So yeah, no, it's a great point. Yeah, nice pop. Gore says, yeah, Sandman is excellent. Agreed. He said the show's pretty good, but the story on paper is top notch, as we talked about earlier. Yeah, they can't beat the comics. Love that. All right, so let's see. We're about 50 minutes here or so, but I want to get into some rapid fire questions with you here, Dan. I should always rapid fire, because they're not always rapid. And we'll get into some comic stuff, some non-comic related stuff. Oh, actually, before we do, I know I asked. I don't know if you have anything you want to show, but did you bring a book with you that means something special to you that you wanted to share here?
Yeah, I did. I grabbed two. It's tough because I love these books, and every book I'm showing you, I've read them. I mean,
great.
As a matter of fact, it's weird. I don't have a huge collection. Like, I mean, some people have like hundreds of thousands of books. I've got maybe 5,000 books. I mean, I don't have a lot of books, but everything is alphabetized. Everything's been read. This is, I think, the first book. I'm a huge Eric Larson fan. I don't know if you can see this. Okay.
Oh yeah. Yep.
This is signed by Eric Larson. My best friend in the world, my best buddy Dave, gave this to me. It was a gift. He knew I liked Eric Larson. He got it for me, sent it to me, and it's really cool on a couple fronts. First of all, this was, again, I think that age, I would have been probably like a 8th grader or a freshman. This was the age where I was really appreciating the art and the artist, right? I was beginning to really appreciate creators. Eric Larson signed it. And as I said to you, the comics are the bonus. It's all about the community and the friends. And because this is from one of my best, dearest friends, I love this guy, like, this is probably a book it'll probably go in the coffin with me, really. Like, yeah. So amazing. And then I think the other one, just real quick, is this one, because I'm such a huge Tom King and Bill Keith fan.
Yes, I love that one.
I'm telling you, anything with Tom King, I would even tell Phil, like, read Black Canary Best of the Best, the current Black Canary run that's going out there. Like, anything with Tom King, and this is, by the way, the movie that's coming out is based on this book, but anything with Tom King, you're probably not going to go wrong, you know. So
could not agree more.
Tom King. I read something Tom King said. He said, he goes, I don't know if he just said he didn't like Black Canary, but he goes, I overwrote it. Like, there's too many words in it.
Oh.
And I'm reading that book, and I'm like, I can't get enough of it. Like, I want more words. And I'm thinking, that goes to show how hard these creators are on themselves. He's like, he wrote too much. It's amazing.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's incredible. That's really cool. Yeah, Tom King has really been, I love your love for him because I feel the same way. And I feel like everything he's ever done that I've read at least has just been incredible. It's something I'll go back and read again and again. I love, and I'm very excited for the direction DC's going and with the films and everything else. And with that book right there, amongst everything else, like, yeah, that was just such a treat. And I'm glad it's getting the recognition and the viewership that it's getting right now. Just that series. I know the hardcover came out not too long ago,
Oh,
and
so good.
it's all been beautiful.
I would tell anybody, the other piece of advice other than read what you love. If you don't know what you love, start with Super Girl Woman of Tomorrow, and that's probably a really good springboard to figure out which way you want to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Damien says Larson is still doing great work. Yeah, there
100%.
you go. Yep. Very cool. Love the books. Thanks for bringing them. Yeah, for sure. I always love to hear these cool, unique stories. Really cool that your friend had gotten you that one signed 996 signed copy of that book. That's gorgeous. I've never read that before. I have a lot of friends. I know my buddy John from John's Comics. He's a diehard fan. I've never gone back and read some of that. Really, as I mentioned before, like a lot of the 90s stuff, I haven't really taken time to read any of just because I wasn't even into it at that time. But certainly stuff I need to go back to, clearly.
Well, the big things were like, everybody loves, when Image kind of came out and broke through, Jim Lee was there, Rob Liefeld was there, Todd McFarlane was there with Spawn, Youngblood, and Wildcats. But my favorite books of the Image originals was Savage Dragon and Cyberforce. I love Silvestri. I loved Eric Larson is one of my favorite artists of all time. So yeah, that book really did mean something to me, and he knew it and he got it signed for me. I thought it was just so cool.
That's perfect. Speaking of Silvestri, by the way, he just announced that, a month or so ago, he just announced he's going to be at Terrificon this year. Which I'm be my first time meeting him. I'm trying to sell you, Dan, on getting back here this upcoming August.
Oh, it's an easy sell because again, Comic-Con and casino, it's danger.
Yeah, it's totally danger. We'll be out all night. All right, let's jump into some rapid fire questions. Favorite character? I assume Wonder Woman, but if I'm wrong, is there number one favorite character? Is fair to say Wonder Woman?
I would say Wonder Woman. Yeah, probably Wonder Woman. I love the whole the creation and the way she was conceived, and and even the way it's kind of done now. From the beginning to now, I love it. But yeah, so I would say Wonder Woman. But I think a close second is probably Captain America.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So I was going to flip that and say, do you have a favorite villain? If one comes to mind for you, who's your favorite villain?
You know what? I don't know if I have a favorite villain per se. I think maybe Dr. Octopus, anybody in the Sinister Six. I did love the early Spider-Man run, the McFarlane, then it went over to Larson, and there was that Return of the Sinister Six line. So I think like Electro, Doc Ock. I mean, any one of those, Sandman, any one of those, I think I'm good with. I like the Sinister Six.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. Yeah, something's really always drawn me to Electro for some reason. I've always loved the design of his character and everything, and he's one of those six that it's really made me always want to go back and read more of his stuff. Let's see, who's your if I just say this as of all time, who comes to mind for you as far as an artist, favorite artist for you?
You got to put Alex Ross up there. The guy changed it. I mean, yes. Jack Kirby is the OG. You got to respect Jack Kirby, and not to minimize it. But if you even watch the recent Kingdom Come documentary that just came out, I think he had a Kickstarter for it. And you watch all these different creators talking about Alex Ross. And specifically, I remember something about Todd McFarlane saying he saw Alex Ross's work, and he's like, wow, we actually now begin to feel like if these superheroes looked like real people, what they would look like. And Alex Ross took it to a whole new level. It's crazy.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of like videos on his processes. I've read some almost documentary style books about his work, and just to see his creative how he comes up with the natural shadows and shade, using light and fake fixtures and toys and things like that. Yeah, it's insane. It really is.
I went to his Marvelocity exhibit in one of the museums here that came through town, and if I went to school with Alex Ross when we were kids, I would have hated that guy because you have like your art project you bring to school and he blows everybody away. You're like, oh, you suck, man.
Yeah.
He was off the chart, you know.
Right. It one ups you in that way. No,
Yeah.
that's cool to know. He really is always, to me, it too is going to go down as one of the best ever. If you could travel back into time, like literal time travel, and buy one comic book like fresh off the shelf that you could bring back with you now to the present day, the only thing is you could never sell it. You'd have to literally take it to the grave with you. What would that one comic book be, and where would you travel back in time to?
I would probably say a Fantastic Four 1. I have the Golden Record reprint of it, but I would
Oh,
say
nice.
F1. I watched this show. My buddy gave me it's like, I think it's Robert Kirkman's History of the Comic Universe or something like that. I can't remember what it is, but it's like a 6-episode or something series. I'm getting the title wrong of this series, but one of the ones they covered was Marvel and the creators of Marvel, like Kirby and Stan Lee. And to think that it all began with FF1, I think if I had to go back and get one book, that would be the book. I would never sell it.
I love it. That's a great book. And yeah, I mean, imagine getting that thing off the rack, like crisp, brand new white pages, that cover, especially, that would be a
Be
beautiful
amazing.
thing. Yes. Agreed. By the way, for the villains, Gore says, I like Ross and his daughter, Talia, troubled souls. Yeah. Good ones. Phil's got to go. Good to see you, Phil. He says, Dan, you're a national treasure, my friend.
Love you, Phil.
Great show. Appreciate you, Phil. If you could have one superpower, Dan, what would that superpower be?
Is X-ray vision creepy? Is that like is that creepy?
I mean, depends how
I
you use
say
it.
that, but I don't know if I'd really want that. I don't know if I'd want that. I feel like
I've never had anybody even bring that up before.
I'm totally
I love
kidding.
it.
I'm just kidding. I feel like I would want to fly.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd want to fly. I'd like to have that perspective. It'd be neat.
Yeah. Love it. I mean, so I always make the joke. I think fly has been the most common answer on the show, but for good reasons. Obviously, there's so many things you can do with it. I mean, obviously save a ton on gas, and you can go anywhere you want, whenever you want. So I love it. I love that.
Well, even I've been going down the list of the Studio Ghibli movies, and I watched Kiki's Delivery Service. I don't know if you've ever seen this movie. It's a cute movie. It's about a witch, and she's young, and she's trying to figure out make her own way and find a town where she's going to like kind of learn to live in that town and be independent. And she can fly on a broom, so it's called Delivery Service because she delivers things. And I'm thinking, you fly. It's kind of a neat superpower, but it's also practical. You can get things to people and help out too. I don't know.
Yep, absolutely. I was thinking, Dan, you could use it for your superpower for your career, which is with trees and cities. You could, all that stuff. Just imagine all you could do with flying and that. Let's see if a couple of this or that's here. Scotch tape or painter's tape?
Painter's tape.
Yeah, I'm with you there. All right, pizza or Coca-Cola?
As a matter of fact, there you go.
Or sorry, there you go. Yeah, I was to say I got my thing here. I realized I just mixed the two questions here. Pizza or cake is the question I meant to ask.
Neither.
Not a fan. All right.
No, I'm not. The carbs. I got diabetes.
Okay.
It spikes me. Yeah.
Totally understand. Let's see. I think I know the answer to this, but I'm gonna ask it anyways. Tom King or Tom Taylor?
King.
Fair.
But I love Tom Taylor. Tom Taylor. Love the whole Dark Knights of Steel stories and everything. I love it. But yeah, it got to be King.
Yeah. Batman or Daredevil?
Batman.
Marvel or DC?
Oof. Currently, I'm going to go with DC. Currently. Yeah. Long term, I'm going to say Marvel. But current, I'm going to say DC.
Okay. Yeah. I just started going through some of your answers. I'm like, well, I know he wants that FF1, but I know he's a diehard Wonder Woman, so this might tear him a little bit.
Yeah, tough one. That's a tough one.
This is a question I haven't thrown out in a while, but as we're naming names here, John Byrne or John Romita Sr.?
Byrne.
Yeah.
Love the She-Hulk run, and he did some Wonder Woman too, and I love it. I love John Byrne. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize Byrne did Wonder Woman or some Wonder Woman stuff. Yeah, that's cool. Let's see, Man Thing or Swamp Thing?
Swamp Thing. Got to go with Alec. Got to go with Alec Holland.
Yeah. Let's see, Cyril and 3. I had a couple other ones. I just lost my spot. Where's my spot?
When you said
See,
Marvel or DC, I should have said like Dynamite. I should have really thrown a wrench in there.
yeah. Well, let me ask you this then. What aside from the big two, what's do you have a you know a publisher that's really standing out to you right now as far as just putting out great stories?
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of good ones. I mean, Space Ghost is entertaining, and
Oh yeah,
Thundercat
nice.
is entertaining, and um, Void Rivals Image. I'm enjoying that imaging. I mean, it has some really good titles as well. So I don't really stick. I mean, a lot of what I'm posting anymore recently is it seems to be like Marvel, DC, and Image, but every so often I'm getting a different book in there, and I really respect people that read the indies that are really close to the indies. I need to get better about that because some of the best stories I've read have been indie titles. I'm
It's
just
true.
I'm just not. I don't think I'm good enough to know what are the good indie books to read, and I think I should just start picking up more things. I did read the one that I think Image just came out with called like Golden Rage. It was positioned as like Golden Girls um, put on an island like Mad Max Golden Girls. So like they're like fighting these
Oh.
women are like banished to older women are banished to an island and they got to like survive. But it was
That's funny.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't never heard of that one. I had just read Bug Wars recently from
Oh,
Jason
good. Oh yeah.
Aaron. Yeah, it just come
Yeah.
out with I think they're on issue 2 now. Enjoying that so far. I love
Did
his
you
work,
like it?
Jason Aaron. Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. I need more. I want to see where it kind of goes from here. But yeah, it's very interesting, and I love Jason Aaron. So anything he does, he's another one of those writers who I just sign me up. Literally, whatever character you're writing about, I don't actually. I've been loving. I'm like a big fan of Namor now, like out of nowhere because of his Namor run that he had just
Isn't
wrapped
that
up. It's like
funny?
a 8 issue series. Yeah, and I'm over here buying like the volume 1 Namor stuff like comic. Now I'm like after all the Namor I can get, like new stuff, old stuff, all thanks to Jason Aaron, who just got me into the character for the first time ever. So yeah, down a rabbit hole I go now. Let's see. Let's talk a little bit about music. Where do you stand with when it comes to music? Do you have a favorite genre? And if you do you have a favorite artist or band that comes to mind for you? Are you like a diehard fan of any one particular group or artist?
If you look at my playlist, that it's called the Open Road, it's on my Apple playlist,
Hmm.
and if it will give you whiplash. It's everything from Def Leppard to Radiohead to Smashing Pumpkins to
Oh, nice.
Arega's Grand Vals to I
Cool.
mean, I have theme songs from movies on there, I mean, it's crazy. So I'm
Yeah.
all over the place. If it sounds good, I'll just let it play. My daughter, on the other hand, is always like, can you change it and put this on? And like they just want to, they don't even let the song finish. I'd like to
Yeah.
let it go.
Right. They get the chorus that one time, then they're on to the next song.
Yeah, it's like let it play, just stop talking. I wish I had the limo where the window could just go bzzz.
Yeah. That's hilarious. Yeah, it's definitely it's interesting. I'm similar to you. Definitely feel like I can always find good music in every genre, so I never dismiss any genre. I'm a big fan of all eras and can find good stuff and everything. So yeah, like I said, I mean, as long as I can enjoy it, and I do prefer to sit and I listen to a lot of metal, and I like to listen to albums like front to back. So I like to hear them as they were written or as they were, how the artist kind of intended, certain things to come out, especially when it comes to concept albums or things like that. So
I gotta tell you, this is actually a really good thing to bring up because
yeah,
we're talking about comics. You're bringing up music.
yeah.
You ever heard of the title from Image called Nights? Like not day, but nights.
I don't think so. Oh
Um,
wait, oh no, I'm thinking of something else. I'm thinking of a digital.
why I mention it?
Hmm.
It's a great read, by the way. I think they're in like
Okay,
14 or 15. It's a great read. But
okay.
the cool thing about it is on the back cover, they give you a playlist for the issue, a Spotify
Oh,
playlist, and you can literally, if you read the book as you're letting that playlist play, it's like it's a soundtrack, like you're like in a movie. It's
yes.
a soundtrack to the book.
I gotta check that out because I love that concept, and Ram V did something kind of similar in what's it called, radioactive something or other. Do you guys remember, anyone in the chat remember? There was it came out like maybe 2 years ago, and it was only like 3 or 4 issues. I think they had like put it on hold or something. I can't remember the name of it, but anyways, he hints in certain parts of the book basically when to listen to a song because it covers this scene. And
Yeah.
it's just popular, you know, it's like songs from any era. It's not like any unique thing per se, but it's like, and it actually introduced me to some songs I never heard of before. And now I'm like, so I love that concept. Just in general, you're gonna have to send me the link later. Or I'll look it up later.
I wish I had. I just filed those books away. I had them on my desk until like a couple days ago. But I would love to pull one out and just show you the back.
Yes.
And it's so good. They even had an issue one time that was set like in a Christmas setting, like they were going to New York for Christmas or something like that.
Yeah.
And a lot of Christmas songs. And you're like, who the hell would want to listen to Christmas songs? But you're reading, and if you're letting it play, it's perfect for the read. It's perfect.
Yes, that's amazing. That's so cool. I love that concept. I hope more creators get into that, because there's so many things you could do with that. And the cool thing is you don't have to pay royalties for any of these songs. You're just that's it. Phil, thank you, man. Yeah, Radio Apocalypse was so good. Good night, my friend. Yeah, if you guys Ron V Radio Apocalypse, I had done a breakdown with my buddy Nick a while back. But anyways, he had planted a few songs that you just kind of, it was a, you know, futuristic story. I won't get into it, but very, very good stuff. Matt here's interested. He says that night playlist idea sounds fantastic. Yeah, for sure. I do want to look that up, Dan. I'm glad you brought that up. It's really
I would highly recommend it. It's a recent read. Yeah. It's kind of like, and I think they optioned it to be like an animated series on Netflix or Prime or something like that.
Oh wow.
So cool. I would say get in now and start reading it now. It's going to be like, you know, I don't know. It could be like the next Invincible for all I know. I don't know. Who knows?
It's really cool. Do you know, or did you read the I think it was just called Batman Catwoman, that 12-issue miniseries that had come out from,
was it the Gotham War thing?
James Tynion, or I don't think so. It was like a kind of a enclosed story arc that Jim Lee did a bunch of the covers for it. I forget.
I feel like I read Batman Catwoman. Yeah.
Okay, and a lot of it took place with Christmas type themes. And it was dark, though. It was very dark, and typically at the beginning or end of every issue, it started out with some, you know, Christmas holiday jingle, and yet something, you know, really scary was happening. And it didn't tell you to do this, but I ended up going and pulling up that song and just reading the book with that song in the background. And it actually just, to me, I felt like it just amplified the whole thing like that much, because it was very dark, you know, but it was like this, you know, happy holidays, you know, kind of song. So,
well, Justin, if you watch a movie, even the most scary movie, and just mute it, it's a different experience.
Yes, it's very true. Right? Music plays such a big role.
Music is a huge factor.
Big time. Gore says Coldplay will soon be music my grandparents.
Oh, Gore. He's not wrong.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about sports here, Dan. Are you a sports guy? And if you are, do you have a favorite sport and favorite team of that sport, if you have one?
I'm a football, not a football fan. You know, I'm definitely a football fan. I'm a diehard Red Devil, Manchester United fan. We're not doing so well for the last decade, but I was a Man United fan before that. Before they were even good, I was a Man United fan. Then, you know, then they got good. Now they're not that good again. Right. So yeah, I'm a huge European EPL football fan. I respect the structure of, you know, if you're not good enough, you get relegated. If you're really good, you move up. And I feel like, and there's no incentive for sport in the United States where, you know, they're mega paychecks and they don't have to be good. They win, they lose, they all go and hang out
again. Yeah. That's a good point. I love that. I have to admit, I don't follow anything for soccer or football in that way. I've tried to get into it, and just never. I think a part of it's, I feel like I'd never had like a team to root for or know who to root for, or have a connection. I'm very much like that with college too. I know a lot of people who are into certain college sports, and I always want to get into college football or college baseball, but I never went to any of these colleges. I don't care for them per se, and unless I'm putting money on them, that's the only way I'm going to actually care.
Right. I can't blame you. And you know, the funny thing about it is I get crap all the time from my friends who are like, yeah, what is that, a sport? You know, is soccer a sport? Like, but I do. I just, that's my
I do have friends that are like diehards. I know I have friends even growing up through high school that played for a long time. Like I definitely respect it. It's an awesome sport. I know one that I certainly could not keep up with as far as playing myself. I could never do it.
Who are you telling?
Yeah. I did play as like a little kid, you know, back in the day, but that was short lived, along with baseball and everything else. But no, it's really cool. I know we're coming up on almost hour and 15. I want to ask you one more question before we close out. out. And of course, I like to close this out with food. Always got to talk food here, just briefly. But if it's a Friday night, it's you and the family, and it's your call, Dan. Anything that you would as your go-to meal, whether it's ordering out or going out to eat, taking family out somewhere, or staying home cooking, grilling, anything like that. What's your go-to, meal style, all that stuff?
If you ask my wife and my kids, it'd be vastly different than I get overruled. I'm in a house full of women. They get what they get goes. I just go along for it. But
I understand.
If it was up to me, it's eggs. I like breakfast. I'm a breakfast guy. So we can go out, eat breakfast. I'll go have eggs out. That's my preference. And actually every Sunday, my wife and I get up and we go to the same place, same table, have breakfast together every Sunday. So I'm a breakfast guy. I can't cook, but I can make breakfast. That's the one thing I can do. I'm a breakfast guy. Yeah, I would do that.
I love that. Even the cooking part, I'm right there with you. Can't do much else. I can order pizza pretty well, but I can't. Eggs is about as far as I go. But how do you like your eggs? Let me put it that way.
Scrambled.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. Yeah. Same. Do you put anything on it? Ketchup, anything like that?
Nothing on it, but I like to put some veggies in it. I'll like saute some veggies, like onions or mushrooms, and then I'll put the eggs in there, and I'll put a little bit of cheese on top of it too, and that's good to go. That's just simple as that. I do a weird thing with my eggs. Like people will sometimes put milk in their eggs.
Oh yeah, fluff it up or whatever. Yeah.
I put sour cream. Is that weird? I put sour cream in my eggs.
Really?
Yeah,
I've never even considered that.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I'm not against it. I'm gonna have to try that. That's
milk,
different.
Well, you don't think about it, but milk has sugar in it. So like if I don't want the sugar, I'm thinking, what else can I do? And sour cream doesn't have that kind of sugar. It's a little bit fattier, but it's eggs. So what are you gonna do?
Yeah. Oh, interesting. All right. Cool. Yeah. Very cool. Love it, man. Well, hey, Dan, these are the questions I had for you. I really appreciate your time and that you joined me here, and hopefully we'll have you back on the channel. Would love to.
I love chatting with you, Justin. Really, I appreciate you so much. Thank you. This was a real fun. This is a big joy. I appreciate it. Made my night.
Absolutely. And for those in the chat, thank you all for hanging out with us. If you're watching the replay, thanks for taking the time to do so. If you guys are not following Dan, if you've never talked to Dan before, make sure you do so. Follow him over on Instagram. I put his information in the description below. Hit him up. Talk comics. Dan loves talking comics. He posts a ton of comics, reviews them all the time. I highly recommend making sure you're following Dan and reaching out to him. So, we got my man Dan, the other Dan who just popped in. What's going on, Dan? He said he just subbed him up. There you go.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Love it. Again, we will, I'll be back in, let's see, what is, today's the 16th. I will be back in 2 weeks with my buddy Rohan. So we'll be on the 30th for the next Comic Collector Origins, that Wednesday, the April 30th at 10 o'clock Eastern. So everybody stay tuned for that. Otherwise, appreciate everybody. Smash the like button on the way out. And until next time, we will talk to you.